So, hello there. Today I'm going to show you the new and improved dungeon generation code and the other very interesting subsystems that I've put in for Divine Right Milestone 13. Now, the milestone itself is not yet done. There are still changes to the combat system, which I still have to, start on. But the dungeon system, dungeon generation, potion generation, blessings, etc., already working. So as usual, I have not planned anything for this. I've just generated a fresh new world. I have absolutely no idea what's in the dungeon, so let's explore it. So the first thing you may notice is that the dungeon actually needs to be explored, contrary to, for example, the Orc Citadels, where you know the entire map from beforehand. To do this, I've actually implemented a line of sight mechanism. Basically, you have a limited line of sight, and when you're underground or inside dungeons, basically items which you have not yet observed are completely black, whilst items which you are aware of but not currently seeing are kind of grayed out. Any actors or enemies within that grayed out area are completely invisible. So this is basically a dungeon. It will have multiple levels. Each time it will be randomly generated, and the object of this level would be to find the stairs down, which will lead to even harder difficulty. The enemy of the dungeons are undead, including these zombies at the moment. The zombies are the easiest, so they're pretty much all we're going to see at the moment. But as you go deeper, you find other more challenging undead. Now, some of the rooms are purely decorative, such as this prison room, whilst others have function. Each dungeon is composed of a large number of rooms of each type. So what we have here is a summoning room. This item here is a summoning circle. Basically, the number of summoning circles are generated for each level, depending on the difficulty. Harder levels have more of them. Every in-game minute, one of the summoning circles is chosen at random, and a new enemy is produced. So if you dilly-dally, you'll end up with a big horde of enemies to kill, unless that's what you're actually planning. What you can do is disable them, simply by right-clicking and disabling them. This also increases your ritualist skill. The ritualist, for now, it's used for disabling these and for obtaining blessings, so it will become much more useful in the future, and this is one way of improving it. So I'm just going to explore. Hopefully we'll come into a dead end. Hopefully we'll bump into a potions room or a temple room before long, so I can show the potion system. So over here leads to absolutely nowhere. I will try to avoid getting into combat because I'll probably get slaughtered. So this is an empty... oh no, there's a summoning circle, which I will proceed to disable. There is a limit to just how many enemies are spawned, but it's pretty high. So this appears to be a room with a pool of lava in the middle. Here is another summoning room, which I will proceed to disable. Another... I have absolutely no idea how we got so many of these rooms. There are a ton of different... oh, there are the stairs now. Let's leave them for now. There are a ton of different decorative rooms, so, all probability. So that's an abandoned farm. I'll finish exploring the dungeon real quick. Maybe find a potions room, because obviously the deeper we go, the more dangerous it becomes. So this is an armory, and here we have a treasure chest. Now, contrary to the Orc Citadels, which actually had loot strewn around, these actually have a proper looting system. You basically loot the chest, and you can currently can only take, you can't actually put anything in, any items you fancy. So this is actually a much better helm. So we'll grab that and equip it. A sword, these are about equivalent. We'll grab the chicken meat and the gem. There we go. And here is a a treasure room of sorts, even more items for us to loot. Let's just grab this real quick. Ooh, that's a very nice hand. Let's borrow it. Now can leave the rest. I won't bother with the other chest. Here we have a graveyard. An empty room. Have to avoid getting caught up in these corridors because an abandoned camp. 2 abandoned camps. Now hopefully we'll bump into a potions room before long, so I can show you the new potion system. Or a temple room. Alright, let's go down deeper. Or yeah. Now I've reworked the line of sight, so each monster has a different line of sight now, which actually is based on their perception amount. Now zombies have a very small perception and therefore very small line of sight, so they won't swarm you unless you actually walk into them. Still, because of the narrow corridors, you might get very unlucky. So let's descend. So you may notice there's a not so discreet jump cut. Basically, had a small issue. The game crashed basically. So I don't really feel like starting over. So let's just continue from here. I'm still trying to find a potions room so I can show off the potion system. Might also bump into a wishing well or an altar, which are also 2 interesting subsystems I've introduced. So those are fine. If you would potions. So potions work as follows. They are unknown until you have actually use the potion. Basically, there are a number of different kinds of potions. Some of them give you a nice bonus of sorts. Some of them will heal you, for instance, or improve temporarily as an attribute. Whilst other potions, which are intended for use as offensively, you're intended to throw them. Now, throwing is not yet implemented, but that's part of the new combat system. Now, originally, all potions are going to be marked as unknown potions, and until you observe one in use, it will remain an unknown potion. So basically, you either have to drink it or in the future throw it. Let's go ahead and drink it and see what happens. So from this message I can recognize it. In fact, we had 2 of them. There are both all unknown potions. Now that I've actually drunk one, actually I can actually now recognize their type. So that was a potion of feeding, and so was the other one, funnily enough. This is just a very basic and plain potion, just fills you up. Not entirely useful, but not entirely useless either. Now hopefully you'll find another one. There are a huge amount of different potions, including particularly mean ones like, oh look, a torture chamber. Like ones which blind you temporarily, which isn't the nicest thing to have when you're in a dungeon full of zombies. Okay, we don't seem to have any altars or anything else of interest. Let's go down further. This will be the last level, so maybe if we're lucky we can show off the new other subsystems. So this is an altar. Altars, these depend on your ritualist skill. What you basically do is, right now it's a non-holy altar. You are allowed to bless it for your own deity, and then you're allowed a prayer. Right now it works pretty basically. You pray, and depending on your ritualist, you gain some form of intervention or a bonus. Some of them are really powerful, like one which slaughters 20 of your enemies on that level. I will later on expand this to when I actually work on the deity system a bit more. So, for example, you'll have to leave offerings, which will increase your god's opinion of you, and he won't, or she won't, always answer your calls, depending on their whims and just how much you've given them. So if we pray, you feel different, good different, that would be a temporary boost on the attributes. These will eventually wear off. I think it's quite a high amount. But we'll get a message when it wears off. Let's see if we can find another potion or a wishing well. Right, now speaking a bit on the actual dungeon generation, dungeons are composed number of rectangles, each rectangle representing a room. Unlike the citadels, they're not in predefined shape. They're not in predefined shapes. They're not of a fixed size with erosion applied. They can be pretty much, there's the stairs now, whatever shape they want. Like this one, for instance, is a number of rectangles granted by tunnels. Sometimes the rooms randomly generate right next to each other. That's a real good thing because you end up with either a particularly large room. Oh, almost got overrun there. Either you end up with a particularly large room or two rooms next to each other. Okay, don't seem to have anything else interesting here. Sure, let's just go one more. Go through this real quick. There's stairs now. Summoning room, summoning room. As you go deeper, oh great, I died. I guess that's a good ending as any. So see you next time, I suppose. I'll probably put another video when I finish Milestone 13, as well as put a link to where you can download it. Otherwise, goodbye.